Exodus chapter 4. Now, this is a very interesting thing because this was actually Moses interacting with God and what God said would happen, and unfortunately, Moses resisted it. There was an area where Moses was given the opportunity to overcome, and he resisted it. Now, does that negate everything great that came from Moses' life? No. But I want you to understand this was not God's best for Moses. So Exodus chapter 4, starting in verse 10. This is Exodus 4, starting in verse 10. And Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy service, but I'm slow of speech and of a slow tongue. That's where I began teaching. I'm glad you didn't get to hear me teach when I first started. Most of you never heard that. And I'm glad it wasn't recorded because it was pretty messy. I would memorize scripts. I would try to say it the best I could. I would get done with the teaching 10 minutes early because I was just going a million miles a minute. And there were so many times when I wanted to stop. So many times where I was ready to call it. Because I was terrible at it. There were so many times I just was like, God, it's time for me to crawl in a hole and just quit. Because I made a fool of myself. I feel so embarrassed. I really did. It's not a joke. I really felt that embarrassed. I was like, I should just stop right now. So I understand where Moses was at. That's what it was like hearing me teach when I first started. It was pretty rough. It was very, very rough. So I understand where, and maybe you feel like you're right there. Now let's look at verse 11. This is the Lord speaking. And listen to what the Lord says. And the Lord said unto him, Who has made man's mouth? Or who makes the dumb or the deaf or the seeing or the blind? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth and teach you what you shall say. Part of the dumbness that I think a lot of us struggle with is because maybe in our generations we have resisted the source of wisdom and understanding. And even in the midst of your confusion, try to serve God. And I trust He will meet you in it. But if you're just seeking to not feel ashamed anymore about what's wrong with you or your family, just expect to live there. Because the implementation is not a soul change. It's a spirit change that becomes a soul change. If the spirit doesn't change, I don't know how the soul is going to get better. Because the agenda is off.